Every single Wednesday I go to the shop, spend more than I should on comics. I buy my pole and a can of pop. It's Wednesday, I wanna go to the shop, even if it hurts my wallet. I might cut back, but I'm never gonna stop.
Hello and welcome to the Pull List Podcast. I'm your host, Kendall. With me, as always, is Jared.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so I got my intros. I was going to say today we are talking about, but that's not. We're not. I mean, we are talking about things, but that's not how I start this podcast. Jared, what have you been reading?
Oh, you know what? I feel one. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more later on about our best of the year, but I feel like I haven't really been venturing out too much or exploring any kind of new comics, and um, I actually feel bad. It was the longest. I feel like it was like 4 weeks in between picking up comics, like a full month, and that was about the longest that I've gone um, since I can remember. So I've been kind of just cramming a bunch of Absolute Universe, Ultimate Universe, catching up on my Ninja Turtles, my G.I. Joes. I still got a lot of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man to kind of catch back up on. But it feels like I've just been kind of alternate universe lately.
So,
Which,
are
yeah.
you still liking the Ultimate Universe?
Um, yes and no. I mean, I like Ultimate Spider-Man. Hickman's been. I mean, I enjoy it. It's been really good. I like all the twists and turns and things like that. I feel like every time I turn to the last page, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So that's been nice. I'm losing interest in Black Panther and Wolverine, and I do like Ultimates, but it's one of those where it's like. You'll just get a kind of a random issue that it's sort of like a bottle issue or just something kind of like a complete one-off and that doesn't really kind of push the story along. And apparently the makers come in and we can't waste time,
Mm-hmm.
but we're wasting issues here. So I mean, I think it's kind of hit or miss. It's definitely, I feel like it's probably a good thing that it's kind of wrapping up.
I just it. I wish that it was just uh that it was just an alternate universe that told a story. I think that everything leading up to the Maker has really killed a lot of my interest in these books. I'm just barely hanging on to Wolverine. I mean I probably honestly, if it wasn't for Endgame coming up, I would have just dropped probably all of them except for maybe Spider-Man. Cuz it's like Ultimates, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's just like I've stuck around this far, but it's like Ultimates and Wolverine both are just like treading water, and then Spider-Man is just setting up more and more and more, and it's gonna be the thing that everybody says about Krakoa. Everybody's gonna all the Hickman fanboys are gonna be like, oh well, it would have been really good if they wouldn't have cut him off. It's like, no, you you know that you have a certain number of issues to tell a story. I mean, tell your finish. He should be wrapping things up. He should not be like we're
Yeah.
just continuing to set new stuff up. And I mean, maybe if there's going to be more Ultimate Spider-Man, I don't think Hickman's going to be writing it. And
No.
and the other stuff, yeah, it's like it's just like nothing. And
Well,
I
I'm
don't
kind
know.
of curious. Like, are they going to pull? I mean, so if they end everything, are they going to take a person from each book and try to bring them into the main continuity?
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know. I mean, because of course it's going to be the same thing. The same thing every time they make an alternate universe in Marvel is that the Spider-Man is like a really compelling, interesting take, different take on the character that I want to hear, that I want to read more stories with. And I kind of could take or leave everybody else in the universe. Um, but also, we don't need another Spider-Man. I mean, I don't know.
No, I agree. Well, that's the thing. So like, who know? Well, I mean, it could be a villain. That's something. I mean, I would be interested to see if like with Miles, if they'll try to bring someone else over, or
Right,
a
right.
group of them might get kind of brought through.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, somebody might, but I don't know. I'm pretty. I don't want to be the hater, because it does seem like some people are still liking this stuff. Some people really like Dennis Camp's Ultimates, which I just, at this point, I just don't see. And on the other side, I'm hanging by a thread with Ultimate Superman. And I mean, not Ultimate Superman, Absolute Superman. And that's the only Absolute book that I'm reading. And cuz it's like it reminds me of Transformers, where every single issue is just like nonstop action, and there's like you never get a chance to take a breath.
sure.
And now also every issue of Absolute Superman has like a moment where it's like, yes. Like, I really liked this most recent issue where he was kind of where Clark was kind of having, or where Superman was having some intrusive thoughts, kind of telling himself, they're never going to accept you. They're always going to see you as an alien. You're always, but not giving into those intrusive thoughts. And I thought that was a really cool. That shows a real understanding in of the character, because you can have the character can have doubts, like Superman can have doubts, but he is still gonna make the right choice at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And I really enjoyed that. I have no desire to delve into Absolute Batman. Have you seen the pictures of the Absolute Joker?
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I've seen those. I'm reading Absolute Batman. That's been good. So that's like, so I've been enjoying Absolute Universe a lot more. Um, Wonder Woman's been my favorite, and that actually feels like a good, legit Wonder Woman. She could be brought into the main continuity, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you'd probably lose too much. It's just a really cool take on it. It's just so well done. Um, and I stopped Superman after the first arc, and that was the one I had regret. I'm like, I wish I would have kind of kept back up with that. Green Lanterns, I think I read that like a couple issues and dropped it. Um, Martian Manhunter is really good. Dennis Camp's
Interesting.
doing, and the art's just amazing too. And what's kind of funny too is they have, I mean, I don't know if it's a little gimmicky, but with my son, he has some of these picture books where you put a flashlight under the page and you can kind of see stuff that's from behind it. It's like a little
Uh-huh.
shadow thing, and so it has some that kind of tricks with that. But it just that's like that was one where I think I dropped it. I'm like, what am I doing? And picked it back up and put it back on my pull list. Um, Absolute Flash, I think it's a slow burn, definitely the slowest of them all, but it has some interesting twists. It's Jeff Lemire, so it's like I kind of trust him that he's going to get to somewhere good soon. Um, but it's one of those where it's like it gets to be a good issue, then it's pulling away, telling a side backstory where it's like, oh, just keep pushing through, buddy. Like it just got to like a really good, almost kind of cliffhanger. Um, so that's been good. And Absolute Batman, that's like so it's almost like just crazy off the wall, and that's almost like when I think like alt world, like it's really going alt world.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been interesting, like and my favorite book, and it's probably recency bias I'll talk about later, but the annual, um oh, just one of those, it's like a book we needed for right now. Like I haven't felt like that much fun reading a book, and uh, someone mentioned like the feeling of catharsis. I was like, yeah, it almost is. It's one of the fun read for certain people
Yeah, that's
that
good.
you go into.
You know,
But it's one of, go ahead.
there's a lot of good Batman right now. Because You're if Absolute Batman that I have no desire to read. This is the other reason that I have no desire to read Absolute Batman is that I'm reading Batman and Detective Comics, and then we just wrapped up Batman and Robin Year One, which was excellent, and then Batman Dark Patterns has been like my the classic detective story Batman, the stuff that when people talk about, oh, I just want to read Batman as a detective, like that's what Dark Patterns has been. Like it's been the Batman story that everyone's been asking for, timeless and really compelling. So there's a lot of good Batman right now. Um and That Batman Deadpool book was a comic book. Did you read the Batman Deadpool?
No, I haven't picked that up. I kind of want to. I think it's funny. I showed my kid. I was like, "Check this out." He's like, "That looks so cool." I'm like, it could very well could be, but there's a really good chance that it may not be very good either. Just even based off some of the other, team up books that they've done before in the past, they're all right, but you're not going to get like a really good story out of it. Maybe some fun moments.
I really liked the Captain America Wonder Woman story. They basically went through the whole DC and Marvel universe with Captain America and Wonder Woman in a romance. And basically, they were together in World War II, and then he got frozen, and then
He's a Steve Trevor anyway. He just
and
was
then
super
yeah,
serum.
exactly, yeah, he basically was Steve Trevor. So they wrote him as Steve Trevor, he gets frozen in the ice, and then Wonder Woman is immortal or whatever, and so she sees him when he comes out of the ice, and then they work together to fight all the different Marvel events, and it was a really nice little kind of what you want from one of these. Yeah, the Batman Deadpool, I could kind of take or leave that story. They had an amalgam character with Lobo and Logan. I forget what his I think his name's like Logo, I think, or something like that.
Rather than like
Or
Deathclaw. Or
yeah, yeah. I mean, but it
just
different, and
logo.
he had a little, he
That's
had
funny.
a little backup story that was fun. It's been a minute. We haven't done one of these episodes since July, so I've been reading a lot. I've read a lot of comics between then and now. Um, so okay, so I'm gonna try to lightning round what I've been reading, if that's all right.
Oh yeah,
So
do it.
So first of all, I read all of Irredeemable by Mark Waid's book from the mid to late 2000s of a basically evil Superman book that was really good if you're like in the mood for a what if Superman was evil book. And I also started reading The Boys because I was kind of in the mood for one of those. Uh, and whatever, I could kind of take or leave it. I'm working my way through the IDW Ninja Turtles. I'm in volume 4 of that, and um, just consistent, like as good as the Jason Aaron uh, Ninja Turtles issues have been, which I think he's done. Like I don't want to say anything bad about it because I have really enjoyed his run on Ninja Turtles. Um, it was I would say it is tonally and quality wise consistent with what I'm reading in the early volumes from a bunch of writers that I've never heard of. So just I mean, what people have been saying for the last 15 years that the IDW Ninja Turtle comics are good, those people are right. And the art is pretty consistent and everything, because a lot of times with IDW books the art's a little hit and miss. But yeah, I've really enjoyed kind of taking my time through there. Um, I I'm trying to really take advantage of my Marvel Unlimited subscription. So I've got a few titles that I'm following in Unlimited. I'm following the all new Venom, which is something that I never would have bought. I'd never buy a Venom book, but have really been enjoying it as a it. I mean, it sort of has its own convoluted Venom continuity, and you jump in. I jumped in the middle of it and whatever, but it's also sort of like it heavily features Mary Jane and Paul from the
Yeah,
which
everyone's favorite.
yeah, which I thought was which I don't know, I kind of it's like I kind of like because a lot of times there will be comics that have like supporting characters that kind of get sidelined in it's like okay, we're going to tell another story. And Mary Jane and Paul are not super prominent in Amazing Spider-Man right now. And so we get to, follow the misadventures of Mary Jane and Paul. And is it okay if I spoil who the new Venom is?
Yeah.
So the new Venom, for the first arc, it's either Robbie Robertson, uh, what's the Hulk's sidekick guy, uh,
Oh, Rick.
Rick Jones or Luke Cage. It's like a
Ooh,
mystery. It's one of those three. It turns out it's none of those three. It is Mary Jane.
that's what I
Um,
said. I thought I remember hearing that.
yeah,
And
yeah. If you're caught up to uh in Amazing Spider-Man, there's a scene. It's in the first issue after after Peter has gone to space and Ben is pretending to be Peter and
yeah,
doing living his life and kind of being a little bit of a jerk. And it's like she she she's like, Peter, we need to talk, and it has like the Venom symbiote behind him, and he's like, nope, and he closes the door on
yeah.
her. And
I do
yeah,
remember that now. Like, yeah, that's nope.
but the all new Venom comic, I've just really been enjoying it as a just fun little read. I'm reading a bunch of the One World Under Doom tie-ins 3 months behind, and there was a Thunderbolts book. I think it was a Thunderbolt. Well, I mean, I don't know if they called it a Thunderbolts book, but it was a Winter Soldier and the characters from the Thunderbolts movie book that was real good. And enjoying the Red Hulk book. Like I tried like about 6 months ago. I started reading like all these comics that I would never give a chance to, but I'd heard that the Red Hulk book was good. Basically, Thunderbolt Ross um was imprisoned by Doom, and he did a prison break. And he broke out, and it's like he breaks out, and he's like calling the U.S. government for help. He's like, I was captured by Doctor Doom. It's like, no, actually, Doctor Doom's the boss of the U.S. now. Um, and
I heard it's
yeah,
been a
just
pretty good
lots of
event.
yeah. It's been a real good event. I think they've done a really good job of like the of telling stories about little victories, which I always appreciate, especially like in sort of the climate that we're in right now. I really enjoy stories about little victories, even if you can't defeat the big bad or whatever. And then just yeah, Doom has been. I'm not a big fan of Doom. That's kind of why I didn't. I read the first issue of One World Under Doom when it came out, and then I was like, I'll just wait on Unlimited for this. I can kind of, but
Yeah.
I've been real happy with it. Um, I was enjoying Justice League Unlimited a lot. Uh, and then they got closer to this DCKO event that I just could not care less about, and so I've dropped off of that one. There's a Justice
I
League,
wanted to get into KO. Like,
yeah.
I thought it was going to be cool, but then I saw that they're bringing in like video game characters or like non-comic
Mm.
book universe. So I'm like, all right, that's a step too far.
Well, Tom Taylor did write all those Injustice comics that people like.
Well, I think that's yeah. I think they're bringing in like Scorpion and
Oh,
maybe one
okay.
of the
Interesting.
K-pop demon hunters and like I don't know. So and it's like I like kind of like the idea of KO, but like I heard that yeah, bringing that stuff in like that's all right.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. I kind of heard the pitch, and it also like feels like it's it feels like it's an event that's like it's an event that's setting up the ultimate dark side whatever event, and I also don't care about dark side. So I'm just like, yeah, just give me what comes next, whatever.
I will probably read it when it all comes out.
Mm. But yeah, so I dropped off of that. There's a Justice. It's called. I think it's called Justice League Red. Red Tornado has recruited. Oh, I forget. It's Power Girl and a couple of other like B-list DC characters. It's been a fun little. You know, sometimes it's fun to read a B-lister book, and it's been a kind of a fun little B-lister book. I it kind of reminds me of like pre New 52 dollar bin books that I that I read a bunch. Let me think what else.
Hey,
um
did you read any of the Punishers?
the Punishers, yeah. I have been. I am reading both Punisher books right now. um
Any thoughts on those? To be honest, I'm kind of disappointed that the stories are almost the same.
so I don't remember what's happening in the Marvel Knights book. um
My, basically he got drugged to he's like L. He's like he's a zombie. Both of the basically Punishers and both are mind controlled.
okay.
One's under Kingpin, the other one is like he's El Muerte now or something like that.
Mhm.
You know, they basically tortured him until he became a
I
zombie.
I'm a
But
little
it had
bummed. I'm a little bummed that they didn't pick up with the Oddworld Punisher that was set up at the end of Jason Aaron's run. I hope that they go back to that at some point. The Red Band book, uh, I I'm I is it has me interested. It I read through, and we talked about this last time. I recently read through the Marvel Knights. Uh,
oh yeah,
uh,
that's right.
what's his name? Garth Ennis run. Um, and yeah, and it's interesting to read. It's always it's interesting to read a Punisher book in the current climate and everything. So they got to be careful with it. But yeah, so far the Red Band one has me interested. It's also
Yeah, I
just
don't think
kind of
they're bad.
interesting. It's interesting to me that it's not available digitally.
Hmm.
Um,
What if
uh,
it's because they can't do any age restrictions on it or
I
something like that?
yeah, I think it's like not even available in like at all digitally. Like it's
They just didn't even do it. Well,
which obviously you can do age restricted or have non red band versions or whatever.
yeah, but
I haven't thought it was. I haven't. There hasn't really been anything in it that I thought was like insanely shocking or anything.
well, and
Um,
you can get Max books on Hoopla. I don't know. There
yeah,
has to be
yeah,
some reason for it.
yeah.
So
But I don't know. I think it's interesting that they're not doing it digitally at all. Let
yeah,
me fact check myself on that. Let's go to.
but yeah, no, the Red Band stuff's not bad. The art's been pretty good. And I who is one of which I don't know. My mind is mush, but one of the what was I say? So, I guess one of these stories was written like a couple years ago, so they
Uh
weren't like written coincide like saying, "Hey, we're going to do mind control" or something like that. Because I was like, "Yeah, that'd be pretty." Like, how little do you guys talk? But still,
huh.
having two Punisher books kind of come out months like back to back months, and they're you know
Yeah,
doing mind
yeah,
control.
I'm on Comixology. It's not anywhere on Comixology,
Yeah,
and it's yeah, the you can only get the like you can pre-order the paperback that's coming out in June, but yeah, yeah, I don't know. That's just an interesting. marketing decision or whatever. And I mean, it's been enough time since there was a Punisher book. I'm giving it a shot. I
Well, and there's
think.
so many like two. Well, I think of just two out. I think it's a good time if you're a Punisher fan.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and the Marvel Knights one. I'm also just kind of like I haven't read the other Marvel Knights books yet, but it is interesting that they're doing like a 20 years in the future story that like kind of
I
its own
like the older
continuity.
Frank. Yeah,
Um,
I just think it's like it's different enough. I mean, it's definitely different
mhm.
enough, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. But it's just interesting. Like the Marvel Knights the fact that because there's, I think there's like, I think there's like, there's a line of these books that are coming out that are like an extension of the old Marvel Knights stories.
Okay.
And I think it's an interesting idea if there's other books that are particularly good. Then Marvel Knights saved as far as I'm concerned, Marvel Knights is the reason that comic books still exist. So.
Well, I always like the Marvel Knight stuff. Street
Oh,
level
are you
hero
reading
stuff.
any of the Age of Revelation X-Men stuff?
No, I keep hearing that stuff's good, and that's one of those where I think I'll probably have to do an unlimited once winter break comes around, and I
It
really wish DC had a better one, but
it is completely impenetrable, at least to me. Like it's 10 years in the future and a guy named Doug has taken over the world or something.
yeah, after
I think he might be
Krakoa, I think I read
Apocalypse's son or something. And yeah,
is that Warlock's young
Wolverine
bud.
is a zombie, and the Wendigo from the Wolverine book is now the Wolverine, and Laura Kinney
Ooh.
is Sabretooth, and she's working for Doug, and and they brought
Doug.
Beast and Cyclops their consciousness from the past in order to do something. I think there's like it's like
Is
there
this like
was
the
some
spinoff
kind
of
of
like the Age of books?
there was some kind of biological attack that killed like most humans, and so now the mutants have their areas that they're the best. It seems to me like it's definitely like a House of M or an Age of Apocalypse or something
Okay,
where
yeah, it is.
it's just an excuse to tell these little stories of weirdness. Oh man, radioactive Spider-Man, he's got like little baby arms. It's because he's like starting to grow the four extra arms, but they're little baby arms. Um and yeah, it's we're like one or two issues in. I think it's going to be 3 months. So like it's not like going to be it's there's like a million billion tie-ins, and I'm only reading like three or four of them. But it's like it's just one of those where it's like sometimes it's fun to just go along for the ride, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think those are most of the books that I've been reading. Um, Spider-Man's in a weird place. I know you said you were behind. Are you at least caught up to the fact that he's off the planet?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
honestly, I think the last issue I read was the Mary Jane pops in at the end.
Okay.
So I think I'm like three behind. Yeah, it's been kind of towards the
Okay.
bottom of my
Okay. So
list
yeah, so you're
or
okay,
my pile.
so you are okay. So you had the like Peter Parker is a dick issue, but
Yeah.
you haven't gotten any of the explanations yet. Okay.
No, yeah, we have like the Imperial tie-in, and there's a couple other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm very very back and forth on it. It's very interesting. Um, it's
It's
like
like I'll
every
get
other
really interested.
issue.
Yeah, it's like a good issue. I'm like, what's this about? Then it's like, oh, it's a good one. Then it's like, it's
Well,
yeah,
I think my I mean at least this which this is the last few issues that you haven't read. My only problem with it is that we have it is the way they're doing it is like there's an issue on Earth and then an issue in space, and then an issue on Earth and then an issue in space, and it kind of has hurt the pacing for me a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's been okay. I think especially once, like, if you, I think especially if you read like a string of them in a row, they'd be pretty good.
That's usually what I've been doing with those, of just getting three or
Yeah.
four together and reading them through. And I think even before, just when they took over, when he was Sorcerer Supreme stepping in for that
I
the
really liked
trials.
that. The 8 deaths,
I
I
thought it was
really liked
good.
that.
Yeah, I like that. I wish they could have executed a little bit better on it. I thought some of it was kind of like they kind of just skipped ahead a little bit, but
Mm.
I don't know, just one of those things too. I was like, I like the idea of a lot of this stuff, but it's like, I just wish it was just a little bit better. A bit more
All right.
compelling.
So speaking of liking the idea, um, so I think you and I both love Tom King, and you had read this a million years ago, and I I had somehow not gotten around to reading it, but we read Sheriff of Babylon. It's kind of a good comic, right?
No, I enjoyed it, and I think there's stuff that I rereading it, I don't think I really picked up on or kind of appreciated some of the nuance, and maybe it's just some of the comic parlor tricks that he likes to use, but I think he uses them pretty good, um, and I also hear that he was even at one point talking about like a second or follow up to that
Mm,
story, because it does
mm.
leave some loose ends. But
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to go back and visit season two anytime soon.
yeah. I mean, I think it tied it like for a 12 issue story. So, if you guys don't, if listeners don't know what this is, if we have any listeners,
Yeah, do like a
um,
quick summary. Yeah,
this is so Tom King was in the CIA, and I guess he did some stuff in Iraq in the early 2000s, and this was the in the forward to the version that I read, he said basically he wanted to write a story about what it was like in Iraq for the few months where the United States thought they had won the war, but actually they had not. And it's a story about a guy who is a military contractor is in Iraq, uh, trying to train the Iraqi police force, a woman who is on the Iraqi council, and a former Saddam Hussein's police guard, whatever, for somebody that used to work for Saddam Hussein, who is sort of an investigator. Starts out as a murder investigation, and then kind of grows from there. And there's all kinds of crazy things happen. It's got um to me, it kind of felt like The Wire. It had like similar vibes to The Wire, and also kind of stylistically, obviously telling a completely different story, but stylistically with the sort of the type of violence and the type of gore and everything kind of reminded me of Southern Bastards as well. But that might be just
Mitch
because
Gerads does a good job.
this is the only other one. This is the only other one of those that I read. you know, I don't usually. There's a little bit outside my wheelhouse, honestly, but I was really impressed by it.
Especially for one of his like earlier books. Thought
Mm-hmm.
this was really well done. Even just, I mean, at the beginning where you see Sophia, or you see her speech bubbles, talking in the American accent, then kind of speaking, and they do a really good job of using different, like italics and things like that to
Uh-huh.
go between languages or what we would imagine would be accents. But no, the art's really good. I mean, it really portrays what you would imagine a hot, dusty, um, post 9/11 Desert Storm, even,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
type of environment. Um, really kind of cool murder mystery and how everything is kind of tied together in between these three people, and mostly with like Nasir, or is it Nassim, the ex Saddam Hussein
Right.
bodyguard. But there's um, just commentary on the Americans' place there, just how things are,
Right. Right.
within their own cultures and things like that. So, um, yeah, I think he does a really good job kind of telling the story. You see the how he dests out the different his 9 panel famous storyboards or his panels. He kind of
Right.
tries out some different things like that. But I never felt. I mean, there may have been a little bit may have been an issue, just a little bit, where I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm doing a lot of reading. It's not really getting anywhere, but then it just picks up somewhere else. But it does a really good
Mhm.
job of kind of shifting between the stories, perspectives, and things like that.
Yeah, for how much story there is there, and for how many panels, because a lot of 6 panel grid, a lot of 9 panel grid, that sort of stuff. The it did not feel dense. I was never reading like giant blocks of text. I read through it pretty quickly, and really felt like there was a lot of story there. I think what I really appreciated the most was there were a handful of story beats. The one that sticks out the most, that was like, this rings true. This may have been something that specifically, Tom King ran into. So in an early issue, there and if it didn't, and if it isn't something that's literally true, speaks to how good a writer Tom King is. um so he's going to get the body of this guy that got murdered, this um
They find one of the police trainees in the
yeah,
green
one,
zone,
right,
and he's been
right,
shot and killed.
right, yeah,
And
this police trainee.
it needs to get rid of the body, so that kind of
Right,
leads him on the
right.
investigation.
And so and he's got Nassim with him, the investigator. And they go to get the body, and these two idiot soldiers are watching a video. I think they say it's on CNN, which I don't think CNN airs beheadings, um, but they're watching a video of somebody's throat getting cut, and they're like, "Oh, look, he's got that black mark on his neck, just like that body over there. I think it's the same body. I think we're famous." And then, and Nassim looks at it and he's like, "Oh, well, as you can see from these bump marks here, this throat was cut from left to right. It is the same marking, but this throat was cut from left to right, and clearly there you can see in the video that it's cut from right to left." And then uh, Christopher, our main character in the next scene, is talking to Nassim, and he's like, "Man, you're really good at this. I couldn't. I'm a cop, but we never did our own autopsies. I couldn't tell you if a throat was cut from right to left or left to right." And he says, "I can't tell you. I can't tell either, but I can tell two different Iraqi people apart." And they all want. They would never believe me that basically pointing out that these people are clearly racist, and they just can't tell two different people of a different race apart. um but he says, but they watch CSI, so everybody watches CSI, so they think we all know this, we all know this stuff. And I really appreciated that scene. And then there's also a scene at the end that's the very end. I won't go into a ton of details, because I think we can. I mean, this is a long thing and we're analyzing it, but we don't need to literally spoil the very end of the book. But
Yeah.
there's a character who, earlier in the book, is introduced as being, like a big wig, some big military or CIA, whatever, NCIS, whatever. Uh, and he says, and they confront him, and he says, "Well, I'm nobody. I'm just an IT guy. They just parade me around every once in a while when they need an old, because everybody that works in that department is so young. They need somebody who's a gray hair to to look like they know what they're talking about." And I was like, I 100% I'll bet that's a thing that, I could totally see that being a thing.
well, there's even the scenes towards the end where they're kind of climaxing on the whole setup and things,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the guy kind of popping in and out of the rooms. There's like waiting rooms. I bet Tom King was one of those analysts sitting in those rooms
Mm.
watching while those types of things
Right,
go
right,
on.
right.
And they even talk about, and I mean, it's kind of interesting too, because it's like trying to eventually kind of like figure out who's a traitor. And, and they talk about even setting them up to open fire or like execute a mission to kill a group of terrorists. And it turns out they're, group of Christians, and
Mm.
things like that. And so there's a lot of back and forth going on and deceivery and everything. And deceivery is not a word,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um,
And I think sort of, again, like sort of speaking, from a broad thing, like the character who's telling that story, Bob, um it is interesting. He's clearly like a career guy that does not feel any remorse over anything that happens, any of the horrible atrocities um that are going
collateral
on.
damage. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the collateral
just
damage, that's a better way of putting it. Because there's I think there's the book doesn't try to make an argument that anything is good or bad. But Christopher clearly thinks that when that that the that collateral damage in a lot of situations is not acceptable, and Bob just has no, you know he could care less. And
as long as he didn't pull the trigger
right,
himself, he is
right,
not complicit. He is
right.
probably a cog in the machine, and that's obviously they tell themselves those things,
Hmm, hmm. And it's
or they
just, it's
probably
interesting to
yeah.
see, the people who take this stuff seriously, and then the people who this is just a job for them. And I don't know, that's somehow that kind of, again, kind of rung true, and I thought it was really interesting. Just, but it was ultimately, it was a story about, about a guy that was trying to do some good in an impossible situation. um yeah, just a really interesting little 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 story that then led to many of my favorite comics of the last 10 years.
And I want to know who fired the rocket.
Mm.
That's my big thing.
Who fired the
Um,
rockets? Yeah.
and it's also interesting too, kind of talking about our IT friend, the old gray hair, how his situation ends up, and how Christopher is like, "All right, we're doing this now." It's the moral thing is that is he just realizing everything's in a gray area. Um, so I mean, it's interesting, and I do like what they do with like the gunshots and the PAL, and like you said too, it didn't really feel dense. They definitely have a lot of panels where they left it open to breathe. A lot of um, outdoor shots. I think Mitch Garrett's probably like drawing those wieners. He had a couple opportunities to draw at least like they even say 2 or 3 panels of penis, so he was probably happy with that. Um, but I had some really emotional moments. Because it was a good read, didn't take too long. Um, and I saw something else too. Someone mentioned that because I always like to look up. There's people on the internet that are mad that think Tom King is you know CIA spy or CIA bad guy and all this other stuff. Um, and some people are saying the worst thing is they did was stole some panels and put them into um, Mr. Mr. Miracle. They had a part where our boy is getting slapped around at the end, and the cigarette keeps falling out.
Mm.
Uh, I guess it looks like the King probably lifted a couple of those. But maybe Mitch Garrett's dead. Maybe they both lifted a couple of those panels. A couple of those pages look very, very similar. Um, to I think Orion slapping Scott Free around. So it's kind of funny that someone's like, I think he's been reusing some of his pages.
Just
It's like,
repeating himself. Well, I mean, all he himself will talk about, uh every, although it doesn't happen in this because he's in Baghdad, but he will often reference the fact that all of his books involve somebody sadly looking out a window into the rain. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, and also there was a nice little panel of there too with Tom and Mitch towards the end too,
mm.
just popping in the
Yeah,
the drawbridge.
I think there's no question that a lot of the stuff that Tom King has made since then, and especially when he was working with Mitch Gerrard's, uh, uh, has been, you know, of a has been very very similar to this. And I mean, honestly, I don't need everything to reinvent the wheel. If I want something that doesn't sound like Tom King, then I'll read a book by, you know, somebody else, by Brian Michael Bendis or Jason Aaron. You know, if I want something that looks and feels like Tom King, I'm going to read a Tom King book. You know,
Well,
I'd rather
fortunately,
do
I am
that.
in no way smart enough to be able to pick up on those things on my own. I'd have to read them on the internet. So ignorance is bliss. I'm glad I'm not smart enough to figure that sort of stuff out. I have
Yeah,
a
yeah. I
memory
just,
like
you
that.
know,
Oof.
just like back when we were talking about, I think about Doomsday Clock a lot. Back when we were talking about Doomsday Clock,
Mhm.
and you know, people, somebody was still mad about Doomsday Clock on the internet today on Reddit, like on the Watchmen Reddit, which I mean, I guess it's my fault for reading the Watchmen Reddit, but like, but it's like that was that storyline for me was about, like, I want to, it was like opening up a comic and reading something that sounds like Alan Moore wrote it and that looks like Dave Gibbons wrote it, and then reading it and then moving on with my life and forgetting what that issue was, and then 3 months later reading the next issue, and
Oof.
just kind
Yeah.
of going, you know, just kind of vibing with it. And that's, you know, that's what I do with Tom King stuff. Like, sometimes I can follow it, sometimes I can't, but you know, I want to have the sad people looking out the window. I want, you know, I want Dark Side with a vegetable plate. Um,
Yeah, I like Tom King. I was even
yeah.
thinking about with him and Tim Seeley did Grayson. I'm like, that was a lot of fun. That was one of my favorite, especially Nightwing or Grayson, obviously type of stories. And I was like, he's
Mhm,
had a lot of
mhm.
good stuff.
I need to revisit that because that was like, because I also read Tom King things with a different expectation. So it didn't really resonate with me, but I wonder if I revisited it, if I would be like, oh, this is a Tom King book. Um,
I always kind of want to go back and find them. I know I have to have them,
mhm.
but yeah,
I don't know if those
Tim
survived
Seeley's
the
awesome
purge or
too.
not. Because I got rid of,
Yeah.
that's the kind of book that would have been, it would have depended on my mood that day whether I kept it or not. I didn't think about it being a Tom King book. If I'd have remembered that, then I probably would have kept them. But I don't remember if I kept them or not. Um, but but yeah, so cool stuff. I'll think about, let's talk about books of the year while I think about what I want us to read for the next episode.
Okay.
What were some of your favorite comics this year?
Well, I know I said before about the Absolute Batman 2025 annual and Daniel Warren Johnson. Oh, favorite story of the year. Um, and I and it's hate to bring up politics, but pop culture and all this stuff is bleeding into each other so much that and especially these days, Nazis should not feel this comfortable walking around in broad daylight. And in this story, Batman in all of his glory is straight up murdering their version of Nazis. Um, he's suplexing them into the ground. He is actively killing, destroying, and wiping out a whole bunch of them. And it kind of coincides with the story of there's a preacher that wants to save the people, and he's kind of like, "Why are you killing them?" He's like, "This is the way I do it." And then at the very end, he's still like breaking bones and murdering people, and the priest is trying to save him and all this stuff, especially like from burning, and then you know it turns out that his father, was tied to the priest back in the day. They marched like a Selma priest, like a civil rights sort of thing. And so he kind of feels bad a little bit about what he's done. It almost feels like, but um, and it's really one of those, like, if you can find it online, I'm sure you can. It is worth a read. It's one of those. It just felt good to see Monty's trash scum like that get burnt out. And he talks about, he's like, this type of hate needs to be burnt out, and he does it. And it's obviously, you know not the regular Batman, because he doesn't kill, and this Batman had no qualms about it. And so if you've not read anything else and you think these stories are pretty cool and we'd like to see more of them these days, I would check it out. I mean, it was, and the art's great because, I mean, he obviously wrote it, he drew everything, and obviously if you've read, Transformers or do a Power Bomb, um, it's kind of like watching Superman do wrestling moves, but it's just action packed. And even just the other stories, there's a couple other companion stories in there that are pretty good. Um, but it was one of those where, of course, that was one of those where I was late picking up the book, but I heard some people on social media that were mad about the story, about how it just divides people more than anything. And then I read the story. I'm like, well, pardon my French, fuck those people. I'm glad they feel offended. And it's such a good book. And I can't see anyone how you can take that stance in public. Blows my mind. But besides that, Jason Aaron, really enjoying his Turtle books. Um, that's one thing too. I said that's definitely been one of my favorites. Definitely has a weird take on Donatello. Um, I'm interested to see where all that goes. But I do like the change and just kind of like the backstories with everything. Like, and I know we talked about those, but just the introduction to where all the turtles were. Those have been some of my favorite. I didn't call them like one-off stories, but just kind of like reintroduction stories. That was just such a good arc. That might have been my favorite arc this year. Thinking about it, and really, I'd say absolute over ultimate. I still think Spider-Man's been a lot of fun. Um, and Wonder Woman has been my hands down. It's an easy favorite when it comes to the DC books. It probably of all of them I've read. Um, Long Halloween, or like the new, or the Long Halloween 2. I need to finish up the final 2 issues of that, but that's been pretty good. It's again one of those other Batman stories in a sea of other Batman stories that sound like it's pretty good, but it's probably one I would pick up and trade and read it if you get a chance. But yeah, honestly, I feel kind of bad. I've just been so boring, and I'd say in terms of like other books I've read, I've been trying to catch up with Department of Truth. I've really enjoyed that a lot, and even just some of the other stuff that we've read earlier this year. The Darwin Cook
Yeah.
story was really good. Um, but yeah, so
So
that's probably been it.
so my I've been thinking about it a lot. First of all, I will say, you know, most years I come out of it and I'm like, there are so many great books and blah, 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 blah. I will admit that I think that a lot of the stuff that I've read this year has been a little bit of a miss for me. The absolute books and the ultimate books definitely, but also yeah, I really wanted to like Mark Waid's Justice League a lot, Unlimited, a lot more. Even Dan Slott on Superman hasn't really, you know, lit a fire or whatever. And Tom, the Tom that's not Tom King, um that's writing Detective Comics. Shoot,
Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor. Yeah, his Detective Comics is kind of doing the thing that his Nightwing did, where it's kind of, I don't know, that the story just keeps going, you know. Um, but but my the books I want to shout out. I mean, I keep bringing up Batman Dark Patterns. That's ending. So that's something Uh, I think it's been going on. I think it might be every other month or something. It feels like it's been going on for a long time. But um, DC book of the year, like the one thing that I think people should pick up is Batman and Robin Year One. Um, Mark Waid writes these classic characters really well. You know his I think where that's where his Justice League made the mistake of they're not it's trying to write stuff that's like now. No, this is a great it's a great young Batman. He has a great young Batman. He has a great uh, Dick Grayson as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever. Um, it it plays with the um the foster system and the legal the how it's not so simple to get for a single bachelor to take in a foster a foster kid whose parents have been murdered. And also like if he's gonna take him in, like the way that he sort of does co-parenting between Bruce and Alfred is handled really well. Two Face and Clayface, that side of things is really interesting, but like it's a story about Batman teaching Robin teaching Batman, and both of them learning to work together. Really, there has always been a subtext of Batman being the father figure for the Robins. But I think in the last few years, that subtext has risen to be text, and so you can write stories like this where that relationship is more overt and just you know tied up great. Nothing, no real complaints about that story. um and that's probably my book of the year. I would say. Yeah, I mean, Batman's in a good shape, in a good spot. The Matt Fraction stuff, the Dark Pattern stuff, the the Tom Taylor stuff, the and I mean, and also, I mean, over in Batman and Superman, Mark also by Mark Waid. There have been some fun stories over there. Um, but yeah, Batman and Robin Year One is like it's the story. And it's just because, like, when you think about it, Dick Grayson has been Nightwing since the 70s or whatever. I don't know the exact date, but there aren't a ton of great modern stories about Dick Grayson as a young Robin. And y- that's there's stories where that's a flashback, or you have a few situations where it's just told in this just an old flashback story, or an old a story of year one or whatever. And yeah, this it was it was great. It was great. um I just the other if we want to say Marvel book of the year, honestly, there's a lot of bees in Marvel this year. Everything that I talked about in the early. Um, I didn't mention Doctor Strange of Asgard, which is probably my favorite of the random C list books that I have been reading on Marvel Unlimited. Uh, you know, Obviously, the one Doctor Strange story that exists is that he's no longer Sorcerer Supreme and has to figure out what he's doing. But going to Asgard and doing a murder mystery thing, it was just like a fun little read. And then I've really enjoyed Chip Zdarsky's Captain America. Um, Similar to Dick Grayson, I feel like, just because of the Marvel's, you know, moving timeline or whatever you call it, uh, there aren't a lot of like if Captain America, Like Captain America was not unfrozen in the 70s. Like that's not how the continuity works. He was unfrozen, 10 or 15 years ago tops. So that is going to be in a post 9/11 world, and telling a story that takes place in that world, and giving us and I mean just like they made US Agent and whoever before then, various, the 50s Cap that did, all the Captain America's, well, Captain America was frozen stories. There's a there's a story to be told about the post 9/11 Captain America's character, and I found that to be really really interesting. Not on the level of the Batman and Robin Year One, but that's, I think those are the books that kind of stick out to me. Uh, I read very little indie stuff this year. The I mean, Jason, I agree with you on Jason Aaron's Ninja Turtles is really good, but also just like, the fact that it got me into the other IDW Ninja Turtle stuff, even the current stuff, the Mutant Nation or whatever it's called, the other Ninja Turtles book that's not
Yeah.
by him, has been really good. So, but yeah, a lot of kind of a lot of like solid stuff, not a ton of stuff that really got me excited this year. And yeah, the ultimate stuff and the absolute stuff, I'm pretty not feeling, but that's where I'm at. That's the state of our comic books is strong, or whatever they say in the, and God bless the United States of America, or whatever. Yeah. And Fantastic Four was good, the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
We don't need to do a whole segment on it, but we
I would
didn't.
say Superman's my favorite for the year, even over Thunderbolts.
Yeah. I Thunderbolts. I mean, I liked it fine, but it's kind of forgettable. I think Fantastic Four, I liked. It hasn't stuck with me as much as Superman has, and I think that Superman is the movie that everyone should watch, whether you think you'll like it or not, because people who are who I think it's the kind of thing, like, if you don't think you'll like a Fantastic Four movie, you probably won't like Fantastic Four. If you don't think you'll like a Superman movie, you might like Superman, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. I'm not a super big fan of Fantastic Four. I mean, I went in there with not super high expectations. It was fine. I don't think it was bad. I'm interested to see how they tie in. I mean, with these Avenger movies that are going to be coming out and throwing everyone together, I'll be interested to see how that shit goes. I mean, it could be. I have a bad feeling it could be straight dog shit, but who knows?
Whatever.
There's a lot of movie pieces.
If it's good, then it'll be good. If it's bad, I'll probably still like it, because
Yeah, I don't know. It's Russo brothers too. Like I don't know. It didn't feel, and I think I saw something where someone tweeted out. I think the first Avengers movie was actually first slated to come out like last week. So it's like, oh, I could have part one done. I could be watching that in the theater.
well,
But
all right.
yeah, what can you do?
Well, that'll be. Hopefully, I get this posted before the first of the year. But yeah, we're recording this at the beginning of November, so yeah, if society collapses or anything, but I always take forever to edit these, even though I don't really edit them very much. But I appreciate everyone who is listening, especially if you're still listening at the end of this episode. 2025, it's been another year. Yeah, until next time, keep reading those comics.
Until next time.
This podcast is a production of the Kendall Cast Podcast Network. You can support the show for just $2 a month at patreon.com/KendallCast, or make a direct donation through the PayPal link at kendallcast.ninja. Every little bit helps.